One of the most prestigious boat races in the country, some might even say in the world, happens right here in the New England area, right here in the cities of Boston and Cambridge. The Head of the Charles Regatta. People, rowers from all over the world come to compete, and they were here this past weekend. Those of us that live in the area were issued a warning early on. If indeed you can stay out of the city of Boston, if indeed you can stay off of the roadways through Cambridge leading to Boston, please do, because there will be certain roads that will be closed. There will be certain parts of other roads that will be closed. Traffic will be detoured, and it's going to be a bit messy. So please, if you indeed can stay out of the city. Well, indeed, I could have stayed out of the city, but didn't because I forgot. And that morning when my alarm clock went off and I heard the warning, I said, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, I had agreed to meet some people in my old parish right in the middle of downtown Boston, and the only way that I can get there from where I am now is through these very roads. And so I left early. Well, going, I was fine. Coming back, the road that I needed to get home was a parking lot. At one point, there were 5 lanes of traffic bottlenecked down to 2. So it was a parking lot. And one way I can tell everyone I went to the Head of the Charles Regatta because I sat in traffic looking at the rowers who were moving faster than me. But while I was sitting there, I looked at how traffic worked. I've always been curious as to why do the cars stop during traffic? Because even if you're going slowly, you should be moving, but very often you're not. So I watched. I watched and I saw. And hopefully, I learned. The reason you stop is that people immediately start fighting. You know, this lane wants to get into this lane, so this person tries to get in, and this person doesn't let them, and inch by inch by inch, there's a bit of a war going on. And then the people in this lane, because they're being bothered by the people in that lane, try to move in on the people who are in this lane, and the fighting starts again. We human beings, we can fight about anything, can't we? I mean, think about it. Even if you got in front of that one car, how much time do you really save? You really, really don't save that much time. We fight. My friends, the readings today are crucially important to the way in which you and I are invited to live our lives. And I have to go back to Paul's letter to the Romans, reminding us that we don't live under the law anymore. We don't even live in darkness anymore. We live in His grace. We live in an environment of grace. Grace that builds on nature, meaning it's a part of our everyday life. Grace that where sin and fear and sadness and frustration can be seen, grace abounds. That is so important for us to know because we live in a world always tempting us to be a bit aggressive. We live in a world always tempting us to be sadder than we have to be at life's frustrations. We live in a world that invites us to be worried, to live in an air of anxiety, to live in the darknesses and all of the little darknesses that those feelings can cause in our hearts and in our lives. The good news, Paul reminds us, is that we live in an environment of grace. His grace is always there for me to pluck out and use, to let go. Let go. This is an important word when it comes to spiritual development. To let go of pain and fear and anxiety and weakness and darkness, to let go and allow His grace to be seen in us. And my friends, when we do, we can live the gospel. We live with a sense of readiness because His grace will always help us do the right thing. His grace will always help us make the right decision. His grace will always help us go in the right direction when it comes to the choices we have to make every single day of our human lives. We can choose to allow the heaviness of life to drag us down. We can choose to allow His life to lift us up. And when we do that, when we decide that we choose His life over any fear, darkness, or frustration, my friends, in reality, there's nothing that we won't be able to do, because that's what living the gospel is truly all about.